Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hiba, and here on my channel I cover recent missing person cases. If you're into that type of content, go ahead and subscribe. I've had several requests to talk about today's case, and there are a lot of details, so let's go ahead and get into it. On June 23rd, 2021, Daniel Robinson went missing from Buckeye, Arizona. Daniel is 24 years old. He's passionate about global warming and the environment. According to his mom, Melissa Edmonds, he would joke with her and say that he was going to be featured in the National Geographic magazine one day. Daniel graduated from the College of Charleston in 2019. After that, he moved to the Phoenix area and has been there ever since. He currently lives in the Tempe area and he works as a geologist for Matrix New World Engineering. Part of his job included testing groundwater and analyzing rock samples from remote parts of the desert. On the day he disappeared, he was seen leaving a job site near Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road in Buckeye. One of his co-workers, Ken Elliott, confirmed that he last saw him at around 9:15 a.m. leaving the job site and driving off into the desert. According to phone records, Daniel did not make any calls or texts after he left the site. It didn't take long for family members to realize that something was wrong. I believe it was coworkers who notified Daniel's sister, who also lives in Arizona, that they couldn't get a hold of Daniel. After that, his sister told their father, David. The family spoke to Daniel regularly, and he wasn't the type to miss calls, so they were concerned when they couldn't reach him either. Daniel's father called Buckeye Police the same night on June 23rd and wanted to file a police report that his son was missing. They told him that he had to wait at least 12 hours, and at that point, Daniel had already been missing for 9. David stayed up and he paced around until he could call them back 3 hours later and officially report his son missing. From what I could gather, the case wasn't taken too seriously because Daniel is an adult and he's free to leave if he wants to. David insisted that they go search for his son, but an officer said that they would wait until the next morning since it was nighttime. Despite the family's effort, a search didn't take place until 3 days later. A lot can happen in 3 days. If you follow true crime, then you know that the first 48 to 72 hours are the most crucial. Despite what Buckeye Police told him and what many believe, there is not a required amount of time that you have to wait until reporting someone as missing. Frustrated with the lack of urgency from authorities, David, Daniel's father, drove from South Carolina to the area and has been there ever since. He is an Army vet and has relentlessly been searching for his son and putting together search parties. Something odd happened the day after Daniel went missing. All of his Instagram posts were deleted and no one knows why. Daniel's behavior leading up to his disappearance and the day of is odd. According to Ken, who is again Daniel's co-worker, Daniel was acting strangely the morning that he disappeared. Ken explained that Daniel was saying things that didn't make sense and looking off into the desert. About 15 minutes later, Daniel got in his car and he waved goodbye before he abruptly left. At around 3 p.m., Ken found out that Daniel hadn't been responding to any texts or calls. As a result, he started to search for him in the desert. He followed his tire tracks in an attempt to find him, but was unsuccessful. Other friends and family also indicate that Daniel had been acting off. An unfinished police report released also highlighted Daniel's odd behavior in an incident while he was working at his part-time job. Daniel had been working as an Instacart delivery driver. During one of his deliveries on June 12th, a customer named Caitlin invited him to come in and hang out with her and a friend. I'm assuming they had chatted for a bit and hit it off, and they exchanged numbers before he left. Everything seemed fine at first. However, in the coming days, Daniel started to show up at this girl's house unannounced. She understandably didn't like that he was doing this and asked him to stop. He apparently left a canopy at her home and wanted to pick it up. After his behavior, Caitlin said that they would meet once she returned to town so she could give him back the canopy. But she also told him that she wasn't interested in seeing him or pursuing anything. Daniel, however, told family members that he was in love with Caitlin and he even texted her this multiple times. The day before he disappeared, his last text to Caitlin said, "The world can get better, but I'll have to take all the time I can, or we can, whatever, to name it. I'll either see you again or never see you again." His behavior in this situation is obviously concerning, and I don't know what to make of that last text. Caitlin admitted to police that she had been drinking when she invited Daniel in. I'm not sure why she felt the need to tell them that, maybe because she was embarrassed or thought that she had done something wrong. I question if the two ever saw each other after that day. Like I stated, he left a canopy at her house. I'm not sure if that's something that he would have had with him on the day that they met when he was just delivering food. On June 24th, Tempe police were dispatched to Daniel's apartment. For some reason, however, they didn't go inside. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that the place was entered and searched by police. There were no signs that Daniel had packed up his belongings or that he was planning some sort of trip. 2 weeks after that, so nearly a month after Daniel had disappeared, a rancher found his vehicle. The blue Jeep Renegade was found on its side in a 20-foot ravine about 4 miles away from the job site he was last seen leaving. His phone, wallet, and keys were all located in the car. His clothes and boots were also located nearby. As you can probably see in the pictures, the car was wrecked. However, there was no blood in the vehicle or outside of the vehicle. Prior to the car being found, the Buckeye Police had conducted 4 ground searches and 2 aerial searches. The search was pretty extensive, with 70 square miles searched by air and land. Dogs were also brought out, but no trace of Daniel was found. Oddly, the ravine where his car was found was in the search area. According to authorities, the vehicle was not visible due to rough terrain. However, this has led some people to question whether the vehicle had actually been there the whole time. After the vehicle was located, the Buckeye Police Department told Daniel's family that they believed that Daniel was in a car crash and that he had sustained a head injury. They also told him that they had ruled out foul play. His family, however, has a different theory. They suspect that his vehicle was dumped in the ravine. Daniel's family decided to hire a private investigator, an accident reconstructionist named Jeffrey McGrath. The private investigator downloaded the vehicle's black box. I wasn't sure what that was, so I looked it up, and I believe it's technically called an event data recorder. It's basically a device that records information, specifically information from a crash. The information stored on the data recorder was confusing. According to the PI, the vehicle had been in multiple accidents before it fell down the ravine. The records revealed that the airbags deployed at around 1 p.m. The data indicates that an additional 11 miles were driven after the airbags deployed and that it crashed again. If you recall, the ravine where his car was found is only about 4 miles away from the job site. I'm assuming what happened is that the airbags deployed when the car was 11 miles away from the ravine and that somebody drove it with the airbags blown. However, theoretically, someone could have just driven around in circles to add those additional miles. The data also revealed that someone had tried to restart the car 46 times. I assume that this was because the car wasn't starting, so they kept trying until it did. Not only do we have the information from the data recorder, but according to the private investigator, the damage done to Daniel's vehicle doesn't match where it was found. It's also been highlighted that there was red paint transfer on the side of the car, and that wasn't from the ravine. All of these clues lead him to believe that the scene may have been potentially staged.
A local rancher finds his Jeep in a remote part of the desert in a 20-foot ravine, 4 miles southwest from Daniel's worksite. It was a heartbreaking moment for his parents.
When I first looked at the vehicle, I literally go, oh my God, this just can't be real. Am I watching a movie?
Photos provided by the police department show the vehicle to have rolled and landed on its side with airbags deployed. Daniel's wallet, phone, and keys were found inside the car. A pile of his clothes was found nearby. The police have ruled out foul play.
I decided to bring on a private investigator. I wasn't getting the answers that I need.
Private investigator Jeff McGrath says he thoroughly examined Daniel's car, including the car's so-called black box. He took our cameras to an undisclosed location where Daniel's vehicle is now being stored.
We have a lot more investigating to do, but we have done a thorough inspection of this vehicle.
He says what he found is at odds with the police's theory.
We have also downloaded the infotainment system, which is the Uconnect that the phone connects into. And that is how we were able to confirm the time and date that the airbags deployed. And that comes out to be about 1 o'clock in the afternoon on June 23rd. He went missing anywhere from 9:15 to 9:45 in the morning. And the Uconnect tells us that the airbags flew at about 1 p.m. So there's a time gap there. I don't know if somebody is joyriding in this car, found it, and decided they wanted to crash it. If somebody was trying to make it look like somebody was injured in this vehicle, I just don't know what happened.
McGrath says he reached out to the Buckeye Police Department to share his findings, but that communication with them has been difficult.
I have relayed all my information to them. I don't think they want to hear what I have to say.
Personally, I wonder why the windshield is broken the way it is. To me, it looks like it was potentially hit with something.
The damage didn't match with the terrain and where it was laying.
I also want to point out that all of the airbags in the front deployed. Most newer cars have a load or weight sensor that detects whether somebody is sitting in the passenger seat and whether the airbag should be deployed or not. Could this indicate that there was someone sitting in the passenger seat? The records indicate that the crash was at 1 p.m., but according to Ken, Daniel left at around 9:15 a.m. This means that there was at least a 3-hour time gap between when he left and when the crash occurred. No calls or texts were made from Daniel's phone during that time. So what was he doing and where did he go? I also wonder about Ken, his coworker. The morning that Daniel disappeared is the first time that the two had met, and it was also the first time that Daniel had been to that specific job site. Some sources state that one of his socks was found near or at this job site. If you recall, Ken was the last person to have seen Daniel. When Daniel left after only being there for 15 minutes, Ken assumed that he was ill. He called a coworker or project manager to alert them about the situation. I wonder what time that call was placed. I don't believe that Ken is necessarily suspicious, and I'm sure he's already been vetted. However, he is the last person to have seen Daniel. I wonder if he potentially saw or heard something. Again, the car was found only 4 miles away from the job site. Ken also says that he went and searched in the direction that Daniel left in. While searching for him, I wonder if he drove by the ravine or near that area. If so, did he see any metal or glass potentially from the vehicle? Did he see tire tracks going towards the ravine? Like I said, the car wasn't found until nearly a month after Daniel disappeared, which has led some to speculate that it hasn't always been there. I think the first conclusion that many people jump to in Daniel's case is that he was having some sort of mental health crisis. Friends and family had noticed a change in Daniel about 2 weeks before he disappeared. His actions and behaviors in that time don't make much sense. He's also 24, which is around the average age of the onset of schizophrenia. I think it's completely possible that Daniel was having a rough time or dealing with something. He may have felt hopeless and wanted to end things. However, if this is the case, where is he now? If he had suffered a head injury, that may explain why his clothes were left behind. However, I doubt he'd be able to get very far with that sort of injury. Someone could have potentially picked him up, but the area is very remote. And if someone did, why haven't they come forward to say that? Not only have authorities search, but Daniel's father and dozens other continue to search weekly. It was announced today that the Buckeye Police has started to conduct targeted searches and that they've started to look down old mine shafts. Yet there's still no sign of Daniel, and I believe that something would have been found by now. Maybe Daniel wasn't trying to end things, but wanted to take a drive in the desert to de-stress. It is confirmed that Daniel was wearing a seatbelt, which I'm not sure that he would wear if he truly wanted to end things. Something may have happened which caused him to crash. After that initial accident, he may have continued to drive with the airbags blown because he wanted to get to help. However, it's possible that he was impaired from the first accident. Maybe that led him to doze off at the wheel or something along those lines, which is what caused the second crash. Again though, if that is the case, where is Daniel now? Is it possible that his state of mind led him to want to disappear? Potentially, that may explain why he left his clothes behind. He may have brought an extra set of clothes to change into that wouldn't match the description of what he was last seen wearing. But if his goal was to get away for some time, why crash the car twice? If he wanted to stage an accident, he could have left the car after the first crash. If you recall, someone attempted to turn the car on over 40 times after the 1 p.m. crash. Why would he do that instead of just leaving the scene of the first crash? There are people who believe that Daniel was not in the car when it crashed. Obviously, that would indicate that at least one other person is involved. According to Daniel's father, authorities did not do a complete forensic analysis of the car when it was found. I believe that means that they failed to check for fingerprints or fibers, since they believe that Daniel left on his own. I hope that's not the case and that the vehicle was checked. I believe that the car was released to the PI, so I'm sure he's checking it for any clues or signs. Apparently carjackings aren't uncommon in that area, so maybe that's what happened. But like I said, the car was completely destroyed and his wallet was located. Is it possible that Daniel tried to defend himself? Maybe something happened to him and that's what potentially led someone to stage the crash. Maybe this is possible, but the circumstances of the car crashing twice don't really align with that. The final possibility I want to discuss is that Daniel was in the car, but that he made it out safely. While not likely in my opinion, it's possible that he did make it out and that he went far enough away that nobody can find him. He could be somewhere out there, but I worry about his mental health. He may not know who he is or what's going on. Some have suggested that he may have gone and joined a nearby monastery. However, his father doesn't believe that this is true. Like I mentioned earlier, David was not satisfied with the work done by local law enforcement, which is why he went to Arizona himself. Since then, the family has been very open about their frustration with law enforcement and their lack of urgency. Daniel's father has also highlighted the disparity in news coverage between his case and Gabby Petito's.
On a vacay or not deciding they want to go away. The circumstances surrounding your son's disappearance are so strange that it would seem to be sort of a natural story for media to pick up. Did you get the sense that local media, that people were taking an interest in his story due to all of these bizarre items that are associated with it?
Well, of course, I started my own search from 80 to almost 200 people. We've been doing it for 7 weeks. And in the meantime, I was definitely trying to reach out to the media. I was able to get some media coverage with the local news. I was desperately trying to get more coverage through, social media and things like that to try to get national attention because I wasn't getting anything from the Buckeye Police Department at the time. So I had to take matters in my own hand. It just took 3 months to do so.
I talk more about this disparity in another video if you're interested. However, interest in Daniel's case has been revitalized since Gabby Petito's made national headlines.
Over the weekend, Daniel's family held that press conference, using it to also bring attention to other families with missing loved ones.
Joseph Michael Boulder, Dynasty Graff, Desiree Hernandez.
Of the FBI's more than 89,000 active missing persons cases at the end of 2020, approximately 45% were people of color.
The public has been doing their part and contacting authorities regarding Daniel's case. Feeling the pressure, the Buckeye Police Department contacted his father to do another search for him this past Tuesday. Prior to this, their last official search had been on July 19th when his car was found. That's great news, and I'm glad that they're finally starting to search again. However, I believe they should have done more in the beginning. Some valuable clues and information are long gone by now.
And do you feel that the police have failed you in this matter?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And the biggest part is the urgency. I feel like if there was something taken seriously from day one, prime example is the Gabby story. Every situation should be handled the same way. I think first 24, 48 hours is crucial to finding someone.
Daniel's family and friends deserve answers. His poor father has been away from his home for 3 months, tirelessly searching for his son. I sincerely hope that Daniel is found and brought home soon. Like I said, his father organizes search parties and they will be resuming this weekend. I'll leave more information about that if you're interested in the description. Daniel is 5'8" and weighs 165 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes. He's missing part of his right forearm, including his right hand. If you have any information at all, no matter how small you think it is, please contact authorities. More information will be down below, including the site the family has set up and their GoFundMe. Thank you for watching this video, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I'll see you in my next one.